Welcome back. Today I have Lexi. And you know what? I realized that you and I, from our group, are the only moms.
Yeah, we are.
Like literally, you have one and I have 16.
Yeah, I'm glad you know that.
So I just felt like it was very important for us to talk about like being a mom. I think that we don't really get the chance to talk about it very much, you know what I mean? And like, how is life as a mom with a 6-year-old girl? Because they do say it gets easier, right? But I'm not there yet. I got 16, so you know there are different steps and stuff like that. But maybe you can help us out with one.
Just one. That's all I need right now. Is just one. I mean, it's pretty. Kai is very chill.
Yeah.
You know, so like it makes it very easy because she kind of knows what she wants to do.
Yeah.
And she's just gonna find a way to make it happen.
Right.
And she has her manners and she behaves. So I don't have to go through that hectic, disrespectful, like, I don't know, she's acting like she's 30. I don't have to go through that. I mean, her mouth is fresh, but granted, like, look who her mom is. So I understand. But it's not fresh to the point that I feel like I need to, like, pop her in her mouth. Like, you know, it's like she's passionate about what she has to say in that moment and she's going to say it.
Right.
And then after that, we can correct her about whether it was the right way to say it or how to say it. But it's fun, though. She has an amazing personality. She's lots of fun. She always wants to do something. She's always down to do something. She's just, like, very cool to be around.
Yeah, for sure.
She's a cool kid.
She be keeping me on my toes, too. I still got her on Just Dance. She don't no, like, rocking it, you know what I'm saying?
I don't even play Just Dance anymore. Right now, it's Fortnite.
Sorry. I do Just Dance.
2K, and sometimes she'll play Call of Duty.
Yeah.
But Just Dance is like, I don't know, it's like too girly for her now.
Yeah.
She wants to shoot some people up.
Yeah, just being a mom. I think I feel like the older they get, it's like easier, right? Because like they're self-sufficient.
Yeah.
Then I feel like when you have two, when I had two, I felt like it was very hard to balance.
Right.
Right? Because like the older one was used to being by themselves, and then all of a sudden, then here goes this kid. It's like, where's this baby? Where did this baby come from? Like, I know it was in your belly, but why is this baby here?
Right.
You know what I mean? And I had my second one when my first one was only 2.
Right.
So it was kind of like, whoa, what's going on? And then that was hard, I think, in the very beginning, trying to like balance like 2. You know what I mean? Because you're like, I want to give the older one attention, but the first one needs a lot of attention.
But I think also in those 2 years, you kind of like structured your life. Not saying that you never have a child again, but it's like you kind of structured your life where it's like you and Adrian are comfortable. Like you already have a balance.
Right.
So like here comes Dom to just mess everything up.
Right.
And now like you're kind of out of whack with like you and Adrian.
Right.
Because now you have to intertwine Dom somehow.
Right.
And then now you also have a husband. So it's like you have to balance, okay, I need Adrian's time, Dom's time, and you're just used to, you know, packing up and going one time. Now you gotta start all over.
That was hectic.
Yeah.
And then when I added a third one, which wasn't planned, okay, by the way, it wasn't. I felt like because I had such experience that it was easier for me to handle like a baby.
Mm-hmm.
Like I already knew, like, okay, well, she's not really crying because she's hungry. She's really crying because she wants some kind of like attention.
Yeah, you got over that first time mom syndrome. Like wanting to like do everything perfect or have everything brand new and everything set out.
Right.
Now you already know, like by the time you're on baby number 3,
I'm a pro.
Yeah. Exactly. So it's like, all right, well, your belly's full, your diaper's clean. You're gonna have to cry because I gotta eat.
Right.
Before it's like shit, I gotta eat and hold the baby at the same time. Yeah. I don't have more than one, but I totally understand that part of it.
Yeah, so, but in a sense, it was still difficult because it was like getting at the house, like, you know, the saying, like, okay, when you become a mom, you're like always late, especially when they're newborns, but like trying to add 3, it's like, it literally every morning takes me 10 minutes, like, to buckle up all the kids.
I was about to say 10 minutes for what? Oh, 10
no,
minutes.
to buckle all the kids and get the car ready. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm leaving the house on time, and I'm like, shh. I have to put into account that I have to buckle in all these kids, get them all in the car in one piece because kids come with like tantrums and their own like crazy personality. And one day they feel like doing something, the next day it's like pulling teeth.
Yeah.
Right? So
I don't have that problem, y'all.
Yeah.
I just go in the backseat with her seatbelt on.
So I mean, I do feel like it gets easier, right?
With structure. Kids love structure.
Right.
And I feel like kids that don't have structure are the kids that fucking act out. Like, once you have structure, I think kids just gravitate towards that, and it's easy for them to just go through their daily, routine, I guess you can say. Like, they know what they have to do when they wake up. They know what they're going to have to do around nap time. I mean, Kai doesn't take naps. She hasn't taken a nap since she was probably like 2.
That's wild. All my kids will take naps.
She goes through.
So my 6-year-old is like, he still needs a nap.
Nah, Kai wakes up like probably like between like 9 and 10, and she's having a good day.
Yeah.
And she just goes and goes until her head hits the pillow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
That's it. But she'll tell you though, like, oh, can I lay down? Or if we're on the couch and she wants to cuddle with anybody, it's like, all right, no, I'm about to knock out in 5-10 minutes.
Right. Well, how are you balancing like being a full-time mom and being a full-time student and being a full-time teacher?
Right.
Like, how do you balance all that? Because during this time, I'm like trying to figure out how does everyone balance? Because I work, so I'm not having to do like the teacher part.
Right.
But it's like one day I did it, and I was like, I don't get how people do this. I'm like, 1 + 1 = what? Like, nah, I'm not doing this.
I mean,
no patience whatsoever.
When school had just shut down with COVID, their curriculum wasn't as strict as it was now. So I was working at that time. I was working from home. Let me make that clear. And then I was still doing classes at BC, but they were online. And then Kai, I would make her do like her schoolwork like when my day was done.
Understood.
Or like 2 or 3 o'clock, because at that time they really didn't have much for them to do. They weren't really as structured as they were now.
Okay.
But now that school has started, I've been fortunate enough to not have to work full time or period. And then I just have to focus on school. So it's easy for me to kind of balance like the online school because I'm not doing anything during those times of school hours.
Right.
And then after school hours, it's just me taking care of Kai and doing what I have to do. And then at nighttime, when she's in bed and she's going to sleep, then that's when I'm up to like 12, 1 o'clock doing my homework.
Gotcha.
So, it doesn't work for everybody, but that's the way I balance it because I'm not going to be able to sit down and do my essays or do my discussions or do anything for school if I have to be warming this up for her or going to buy her food or taking her to get ice cream or going outside. So, I can't work like that.
Yeah.
So when she's in bed or she's watching a movie for bedtime, then that's what I do on my homework.
Yeah.
Literally, that's literally what I do on my homework. And that's it.
So you have like a good balance, a good scheduling. And I feel like you said, it's very important. I think that for me, it works on some days and the other days it doesn't.
Of course.
But I feel like because I have the help that I need, I'm able to balance. So I think that it's like very important too, like for me, because I work like the 9 to 5, like I can't be there all the time. I can't assist with like the homework. I can't assist with a lot of things. So, to have the help that I have,
but
like with my
sacrifice.
husband and family.
Right. That's a sacrifice you make. I mean, you're not the only person that has that. Like, I'm not going to say struggle, but you're not the only person that has to do that. There's a lot of other mothers that their kids have to go to daycare or whatever the case might be because in that moment they have no one to help them, especially with school being from online.
Yeah. So Lexi, I wanted to know, like, how do you balance being a Lexi and separating that from like being a mom? Like, how do you still identify with yourself? Because I feel like we all go through that, right? Where it's like that transition phase, like, okay, we're mom, but you're still you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think for me, it's a little bit easier because I only have one kid and I'm not married. You get what I'm saying? So like, I still have time to just like be who I am. But I think it also like, I have great support system with my family. And I also have, like, obviously a group of friends that I can do things with. You know, like I can go out to eat, I can go out to a lounge or a club where we can take trips. Like, you know, like where I don't always feel like being smothered by being a mom. Like I have my moments where I can kind of take a break and just release and have my fun. That's kind of when I get my mental break. Like if Kai is gone for the weekend, or if Kai goes out of town with my parents, or if I go on a trip with my friends, and I'm always the first to say, like, this weekend I'm not a mom. Like this weekend I'm just Lexi.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll turn into cocaine kisses when I drink some Patron, but like literally, like I'm like, I don't want to be a mom this weekend. Like I don't want to deal with anything. I just want to have fun. I want to drink. I want to sleep in. I want to do things like that. But of course, at the end of the day, I'm always going to be a mom. So I do take my 5 minutes to make sure I call Kai, or she can call me. We FaceTime and talk about what she's doing, what she's about to do, how her day is going. Because I don't want to. I'm not still going to give that up. Even though I don't want to be a mom that weekend, those little things still matter to me. You know, I want to make sure she's always good regardless of what I have going on. But I think with any mother, whether you have 1 kid or 50, you need those breaks. Even if it's for a couple hours where you just sleep, or you just find something to watch on Netflix, or where you read. I have books that, like, sometimes I try to read, like I'll maybe take 5 minutes and read a couple pages or something. But I mean, it's hard for me to be fully into a book when I just feel like right now I have so much going on. But that mental break is absolutely needed. Like I can't stress how much that is needed. 100%.
It's definitely important. I think it's harder in the very beginning, like when you have like an infant, to kind of like find your balance, because it's like you have to focus on a baby that needs you like 24/7.
Yeah.
And I think, like, for me, like, every time I had a baby, like, I lost myself a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's like, okay, I still want to be a wife, but I'm definitely a mom. You know what I mean? And, like, this baby needs me, but then, like, now this toddler needs me. And now I'm like, now I have 2 toddlers and a baby. And it's like, they all need me. But I feel like, you know, it is very important to have that time to yourself, to gather yourself. You know what I mean? Because it can be overwhelming. And just because, you know, you are a mom doesn't mean that you don't need to be yourself, right?
Like I don't feel like I want to be like those moms that are still going out and still having fun regardless if I'm married or not married. Like, I'm still a person at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? Like I still want to be able to hang out with my friends and take group trips and do whatever we do, because at the end of the day, I'm still a fucking human being. I'm still a woman. So I still have things that I want to do. Like, babies don't stop nothing. It doesn't. It's like, you know, like if you're in school and you get pregnant, then I understand you might have to take a time off because you might have a complicated pregnancy, you can't balance it up. It gets hard, you know, I've been there before, but at the end of the day, just like you said, like you need that time for yourself because it does get overwhelming. Even with one, sometimes I'm overwhelmed. You know, if there's a night that Kai just, you know, she just been on it all day and sis just don't want to go to sleep. And I got maybe 2-3 homework assignments that need to be done by 12. And she's just like, so what are you doing now, mommy? Are you almost done? Like, how much more do you have left to write? It's like, okay, bitch, I ain't write shit yet because you're in my face. You know, like, it's like, okay, that means I'm overwhelmed at that moment. I need to take at least 30 minutes and sit with her and maybe lay down with her or watch a movie. That's going to sacrifice maybe the 2 hours that I initially made for myself to work. Now I'm probably going to have 1 hour and 15 minutes. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I'm going to do what I have to do. And I have to find that balance. And in that balance, it's less time for homework and more time for my child. So I can make sure at the end, both of them are done.
And it's cool that you mentioned, like, as far as, like, mental, like, the mental health. I feel like, especially in the Black community, that is something that we don't discuss as, you know, mothers, as fathers, as parents, as, you know, like, as a whole. That it is super important, because if you are not right with yourself, you can't be right for your kids. You know what I mean? And I just think that it's like, you know, you mentioned it, you know, a few times, like, you know, it's my mental, like, I need that time, I need that space. And, you know, if you're not right, if you're not right mentally, you're not going to be right at all, right? Like, even down to just how you deal with your friends. You like to go out with your friends, but if your headspace is not there, you're not gonna be a good friend. Your headspace is not gonna be there for any like relationships or whatever it is, right? But it's like in the Black community, it's like we're not talking about mental health enough, right? Because postpartum is real. It's not only affected in the white community, like Black women
But
go
I
through
think
postpartum.
because lack of awareness,
Right.
for a better word, is one of the reasons why certain things don't get spoken about.
Right.
We don't talk about things because we don't have the knowledge to talk about certain things.
Right.
And I don't really know anybody, to my knowledge, that has went through postpartum depression. But I mean, I can see where it can happen, and I can see where at moments that you do get overwhelmed and you feel like shit, I need a break, a reset, or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, mental health is very real. It's something that we don't talk about enough, especially in the Black community. But I also feel like, not me per se, because I was raised to kind of always express how I feel. But we do in the Black community, we're raised to just kind of brush things under the rug.
Right.
Like, no emotions.
Right.
Be strong. And I feel like I'm just as fucking strong before I cry and after I cry.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not really one that really cries all the time, but if I do cry, it's because I'm like genuinely hurt or frustrated. But yeah, I think 100% it's lack of awareness. Like, we don't know the signs of mental illness or what to look out for. It's not something that I feel like is talked about or spoken.
Yeah.
And it's not, we don't talk about it in homes. I don't feel like it's being taught in school. You know, I mean, granted, I graduated high school years ago. Maybe now they have a mental awareness program or something, but I know that it's just something that we don't talk about in the Black community.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like, normally it's like, okay, well, you'll be all right, or get over it type of feeling. It's like, even down to postpartum, like, I always hear it's like a real thing. They give you all, like, if you read about it, like, after you leave the hospital, they tell you, like, here's a pamphlet. If you feel like this, then, this is this, or you have to talk to someone. But then it's like you go home. I mean, you have to go home, right? You go home with your baby, and you go through it, and you feel like, okay, you're just tired. That's what they'll tell you. Like, your parents or whomever.
Yeah.
Oh, you're just tired. You're only on 3 hours of sleep. And literally, you could be going through postpartum.
Yeah.
And you don't know it.
No.
But no one is going to tell you, like,
but think about
it's postpartum.
Like, as a mom, do you really know the signs of postpartum? Because I definitely don't.
I don't.
I could have been going through it with Kai, and I would have no idea.
Yeah.
You could have went through it with one of your kids, and you have no That's
idea.
not something that your doctor told you about when you were about to have a baby.
Right.
That's not something they spoke to you about when you had your baby before they discharged you. That's not something that your parents spoke to you about. And that's the same for me. So even if and that goes back to the lack of awareness.
Right.
Like, nothing against how we were raised, but that's not something, if your parents or somebody in your family is not going through something, then 9 times out of 10, it won't be spoken about.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? If you had an aunt, or I had an aunt that dealt with postpartum depression, then at that moment in time, they're like, you know what, V or Lexi, after I had whatever, this is the sign. So if you're feeling this kind of way, then maybe you should,
Yeah.
But I never had nobody tell me that. So it's like, do you really know if you went through it or you're not going through it?
When I'm thinking about it, I think now they're trying to make more of a conscious effort, because I remember, like, my first appointment, they're going through, like, questionnaires to, like, dictate whether I have postpartum or not.
What appointment?
Like, your first appointment, like, your
first
checkup.
appointment?
I think so.
When you found out you were knocked up?
No, like, after, when you had the baby.
Like, your 6 months?
Like,
your 6 weeks?
Yeah.
No, my doctor didn't do that.
Yeah, it was like 6 weeks in a little like, do you feel sad? Do you feel like
what? No, my doctor did not.
Yeah, I had that. Now I remember.
She just
and I guess
me up and made sure everything was good.
Yeah. No, I think now they're making more of a conscious effort of doing that, but I just still feel like it is a conversation that's very necessary, and I like to hear, like, the Black community speak on, like, mental health. I think 2020, I've heard that conversation, especially, like, with Black men. It's super important. Like, you know, the men have to be like the strongest, right? They can't be weak. They can't show any emotions. That's how like they are raised, and it's like, no, men can cry too. Like, you have to express how you feel. Like, no, you don't just suck it up. No, like, use your words. Like, let's be verbal on like what it is that you feel.
Right.
And I think that we as parents need to instill that in our kids, right? So like sometimes Dami would like throw a tantrum, and I'm like, okay, what's going on? Why are you throwing a tantrum? Like, you know, I'll talk to him, or like even Adrian. Like sometimes he'll cry out of frustration. I'm like, well, why are you crying? And like at times I would be like, man, you point something up, and then I go and I like think about it. I'm like, no, I can't do that. I have to talk to him. He has to learn how to express his feelings, because once you say don't cry, be a man, this is how it's supposed to be, then that's when they stop learning how to cope with their emotions, show the emotions, or even express how they feel. Right?
Yeah. I mean, I do the same with Kai too. Like, Kai is a very sensitive child. Like, she just, I feel like sometimes she just be crying way too much. You know? But it's like, you know, I try to, like, in that moment, let her know that what she's crying about is not that serious. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't cry because you ain't win. You can't cry because you know, things like that. Like, oh my God, you spilled juice on the floor. Let me start crying. Like, okay, go get a paper towel, clean that shit up. Accidents happen. You know what I'm saying? But if it's like something that she's taking offense to, or something that is like bothering her, we've kind of like have this routine where she knows, like, when we're brushing her teeth or we're taking a shower at nighttime, she'd be like, Mommy, can I talk to you? And I'm like, yeah, what do you want to talk about? And then she'd be like, at that moment in time, like, whatever she wants to talk about, like whether she's going to say something that's bad or inappropriate, I kind of give her that moment to kind of express how she feels. And then after she's done, I'm like, okay, well, you were right or you were wrong. Or it should have been handled like this. You can't run away from this. So you need to, you know, deal with it head on and stuff like that. But that open communication between you and your kids, I feel like later on in life will pay off. Like, they don't understand the importance of it now, but it's like, I'd rather her come to me and talk about it than probably make her own mind up, and it might not be right or the right thing to do in that moment. So I appreciate her coming to me about, and I mean, like, anything the girl wants to know, she's asking me about it. And I appreciate that. Like, that's something that we do, and I'm just not with the crying. You know, because I just feel like regardless, like, we should need to be strong individuals and still be able to show our emotions, but I don't want no cry baby either. You know, but it's clear communication. Communication has to always be open, where your kids can feel the need to come to you about anything. When you tell your kids to always tell the truth, no matter how bad it is, right? You want them to feel comfortable to tell you anything, regardless of, you know, the person that it makes them out to be, or whatever the case might be. So for me, it's the same thing. I want to keep that clear line of communication open, so no matter how wrong or how right Kai is, she feels the need to talk to me that exact same way. You know, like, regardless, I want her to be just not excited, but like, just like how she wants to tell me the good thing that happened today, I want her to be able to come to me with that same energy and be like, Mom, I like really fucked up, or I did something really bad and I need help, or whatever the case might be. Like, I always want that to be open, because I think we take that for granted. Like, you don't want your kids growing up and not realizing the kind of person that you're raising, or for them to not feel comfortable enough to speak to you, because then there's other outlets, you know, that eventually sometimes don't always lead to something good.
I agree. I think that's something that I'm working on with myself, especially with my kids, because sometimes, like, we're so stuck on, like, they're little, you know what I mean? But these little kids become teenagers, and these teenagers become adults, and we want to be able, as parents, to help them cope, you know? It's never too young, you know, because they start understanding at a young age. So it's like, I mean, if your kids are learning their ABCs, they're learning sentences, they're learning how to, like, speak, you know, and you should help them. I think that's a problem in our generation too, like in the previous generations. Like, we don't know how to communicate. And this is why we're having so many problems, because we don't know how to communicate with friends, we don't know how to communicate relationships. So it's like everybody's like my feelings, but you don't really know your feelings. You know what I mean? So for me, I definitely agree with you. I'm trying to do better because, you know, when I was a first time mom, I'm like, no, I don't have to, like, what am I doing? Like, talking to him, he's a little baby, like,
Right.
he doesn't know.
You don't understand the importance. Yeah.
Right. But now, as we're learning more about mental health, I'm like, it's super important. So sometimes, like, you know, I have to, like, catch myself, like, Adrian, why did you do that?
Yeah.
You know? Or Donnie. So for me, I commend you, girl, because it is very hard as a parent to, like, kind of, like, take out your emotions to grasp a child's emotion.
It's hard raising a child, period. Like, there's no handbook on how to raise kids, right?
Yeah.
There's no, like, when you're there doing your thing, you don't realize, like, damn, bro, like, I gotta think about this. And then it's like, okay, for the first couple of months, right, you go through that whole diaper formula phase. Then you go through, like, a daycare phase. And then you go to the phase after daycare where I just feel like they're starting to understand, they're starting to be exposed to so much. So it's like life parenting takes on, like, another life at that time. Like, now we're dealing with, like, real shit, like things that you probably be talking to your friends about. They see and they want to know, they want to understand. Like, that's what they don't tell you, you know, when you doing your thing. Like, it's a lot more than financial. Like, everything is like, kids are expensive. Yes, kids are expensive, but they also require a lot of patience, a lot of structure. There's a lot of things that go,
a lot of attention.
Yeah, with raising kids besides just money. Okay, I could be rich and still have the same problems.
Exactly.
You know, like, that doesn't, having money doesn't help raise kids.
Exactly.
Mentally, you know, like, physically. Okay, yes, Kai could be Gucci down from head to toe, but, like, is she out here lying? Is she out here being sneaky? Is she out here cussing out people's kids when I'm not around? Like, you get what I'm saying? So for me, it's like, there's no handbook. So you have to just work with what you have and just try to improve in any way, because you know the kind of person you are. So it's like, do you want your kid to be like you, or do you want your kid to be better? And I think, like, that's just the guideline that we should go by for everybody. Like, if you know you have uncles and aunts, or, like, a mom that wasn't really there, or dad that wasn't really there, then when you have your kid, instead of doing that same generational curse,
it's a curse.
Let's break it and be like, okay, well, my mom and dad wasn't around, so I'm gonna make sure that I'm 100% there for me and mine. You know, and that's just breaking the cycle, which is always a great thing, and that helps with their mental health, my mental health, and people that are helping you, your support system. Because don't nobody want to watch no rude ass kids. Okay. So
like, can you watch little Johnny today? Nah, let me see.
Exactly.
And then you're like, why is every time you're supposed to watch my kids an excuse?
I'm trying
your
to
kid is bad. Okay. Your kid needs to be home and you don't need to be going nowhere.
Exactly. So it's like, you know, you want to make sure that everybody that's mixing in a pot, you know, is going to be good with your child. So
they're going to have the same mindset too. You know what I mean? Same discipline. Well, I'm so happy that you sat here with me and we were able to bond on our mommyhood, because, you know, it's the best hood, like they say. And it's just really good to, like, have, you know, people in your corner that can relate to this part of life, because it is hard, and sometimes if you don't live it, you don't understand it. You can't really go based off, like, you know, life experiences when it comes to being a mom, because 9 times out of 10 we mommies are winging it, right? So
100%.
Well, it was good to have you sitting here vibing with me and whatnot with the wine. It's Riesling this time, guys. It's Riesling. Did I say it right?
Riesling, I guess. Like, I'm black. Actually, white person how to pronounce it. But to me, it's Riesling.
Okay, Riesling. Well, I'm so happy that you guys tuned in with us today, and see you next time. Bye.
Bye.